Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Eddie Jennings from EJSLLC.com. This video is going to be another in my RHCE practice session series where I am going through all of the objectives and trying to prepare for the Red Hat Certified Engineer exam. Before I dive in, I want to thank returning subscribers for watching another video, as well as invite anyone who's watching who has not subscribed to the channel yet to click that subscribe button and ring the bell when you do, so you can be aware of when new content comes available. Also, if you enjoy the content or find it useful, feel free to put a like on the video and also share it with others that might find it useful as well. So we're continuing on with the Understand Core Components of Ansible objective set, and we'll be looking at plays in this particular video. And I want to remind you that this isn't necessarily intended to be authoritative information, nor is it intended to be a tutorial, but rather it's an opportunity for me to talk about whatever the topic is at hand, which in this case will be plays, and do a bit of a self-assessment. And at the end of the video, if I feel like I know what I'm talking about, then I will likely do well on the exam if there are tasks that deal with whatever the topic is, and kind of obviously there will be tasks that deal with plays. Likewise, or maybe not likewise, on the other hand, if I get to the end of the video and I really don't feel confident about whatever the topic was, then that tells me I need to spend a bit more time on it between now and about a month from now when my exam happens. So plays are a building block of playbooks, and we've been doing some stuff with playbooks in several of the videos thus far. So let us make another playbook. We'll call it playtest.yml for YAML. 3 dashes to say that we're starting a YAML file. And really, all a play is a collection of tasks. Now, you would probably have like handlers and such in plays as well. You can have roles in plays, but maybe a better definition would be a collection of things to do against a particular set of hosts. That might be a better definition. So in our playbook, which all a playbook is a collection of plays, we will give it a name. And notice how I have our little dash here, which means we're basically starting a list. So this playbook is going to be a list of plays, and this list is going to have various dictionaries, which will include your tasks and all sorts of other little items that are a part of your play. Let me give this a name. We'll call it test play. And at the very least, you need to tell it some hosts to use. You can do a single host. You can tell it a group that is in your inventory file. I'm going to try doing 2 hosts. I think you can do a comma separated list of that. And you may be able to do an actual list of hosts themselves, but we're going to try the comma separated list first. And then you need some tasks. So we will make a task, and the task, I'm going to have a list of tasks here. So we have name, and we'll call this test task 1. And that name is going to use the debug module, and it's going to tell us a message. This is the first test task. Let's do another task. We'll call it test task 2. This time we'll do something else. We'll do the yum module, and we'll install Apache on our servers. ... So this is a very basic play. We have told it what hosts that we're going to be using, and these are defined in our inventory, and we have told it these are the tasks that are going to be in your play. Now, if we wanted to do another play in this playbook, we would go back to that original area of indentation, name, and give us another play, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to have the one play here. Notice the indentation with this. So on the level of play, we are defining hosts, we are defining tasks, and then the next indentation here, 2 spaces in. It doesn't have to be 2 spaces in. I found that to be kind of a common thing I've seen in a lot of stuff with Ansible, but it does have to be spaces, and it has to be consistent. You can't use tabs for this. And at this level of indentation, we have the names of our modules, and then at the next level of indentation are the options with the modules. All right, so let's run our playbook. And what this is going to do is read the play or plays in our playbook, and it's going to error on the second one. And the reason why that is going to error is because we don't have the necessary rights to be able to do this particular task of installing HTTPD. which, let's go back to our play test. That brings us to other things that we can define at the play level. You've seen me do this on several of the videos now, and that is set the value of become. And what this is going to say is that for this play, you're going to elevate to whatever your configuration file says that you elevate to, which by default, you're going to elevate to root. So it's basically doing sudo and whatever your tasks are. So let's try this again, adding that becomes yes. All right, and that took a minute because it had to install HTTPD. Notice it didn't do lab AN02, so I was wrong about the comma separated list. Let's make this an actual list of hosts. So we're going to go back into our play here. Lab rel AN01, lab rel AN02. I thought there was a way of doing that without that having to be a list, but we might discover it through this video. Now, in previous videos, we talked about variables, and we defined those variables at the level of the play. So let's do this here. Let's do vars. We'll define a variable. We'll call it foo, and this is foo. We'll add another task to our play. Show var. We'll use debug again, and we'll do the value of our variable foo. So let's see what happens now that we have changed both adding var as well as adding, or rather changing the host to using a list. Okay, so that worked much better. So we're gathering facts for both. It ran the first task against both. Task 2 is going to take not as much time with one because obviously it'll find that HTTPD has been installed, but it will take a little time to do it on lab02 or labrel AN02. All right, and it also showed the variable for both. Now notice that it gathered tasks for both of your items. You can set that to not gather tasks. Now, gather tasks. You can set that to not gather facts. Now, generally, you're going to want to at least gather facts once because you'll often be using the facts for like conditional stuff, but you can tell it to not do that. So let's go back into our playbook, and we're going to add, gather facts, no. All right, so let's run our playbook again, and it should not gather facts. Notice it went right from the naming the play to naming the task. You can also not list the name of the play and just have the particular host line. I believe that is true. Let's put that to the test. So I'm going to get rid of the name play. We're going to bring up hosts. Let's see if this still works. I'm pretty sure that it will. Yeah, and then it just gives us our, it names the play after the host that you have. All right. That still bothers me about the list. So let's go back into insert mode, move host. We'll give this a name again, test play. And I'm going to try that comma separated list again and not have a space this time. We'll see if that makes a difference. Yes, so you cannot have, I thought you could do comma separated list. Now there are other things that you can put into the play, and if you're curious about some of these, let's take a look at the default configuration file. So we're going to, we'll cat it. So etc Ansible, Ansible.cfg. And the things that are here, generally you should be able to define in a play. Let's do, let's see what all we could potentially find here. Well, we've defined become, right? That was a part of our play. I think we can define errors as well in the play. I may be wrong about that. I'm just looking through the do fact caching. That, if you're curious, the fact caching stuff, that can potentially speed up the running of your plays because they're not, your play is not always gathering the facts. It's relying on a particular cache, but this is something that I have not messed with, and I think might be outside the scope of RHCE. I'm not sure about that, but I know that I'm not a master of fact caching. Let's see what else. We can tell it what remote user to use as well. So let's go back to our play. Let's say that we wanted to use a different remote user. Say we want to use my Eddy ADM remote user. I believe it will try that. Yeah, and it's going to complain because I have it set up, key-based authentication as well. And I think that we should be able to tell it to ignore errors. I know you can do that at the task level, but you may be able to do it at the play level as well. Let's try that. Well, maybe not, but that might be an error so egregious that it cannot be ignored. But the big takeaway with this is all a play is a collection of things to do, either tasks. We can also have handlers, we can have roles as well, and we can define particular attributes of a play that would overwrite whatever you have in your configuration file, such as the remote user by default is Ansible that we're using. However, we have dictated a different remote user for this particular play. So something to keep in mind for that. Thankfully, this was not nearly as long as some of the other videos, so if you've been following along in the series, you get a little bit of a break here. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch, and also to thank returning subscribers for watching another video. Remember, if you haven't subscribed yet, to click that subscribe button and ring the bell when you do. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful, make sure that you do click like, and feel free to share with others, and don't hesitate to leave comments as well. I'll answer and respond as I have both time and ability. Thanks again for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you the next time.